Hi, and welcome back to the Health, Weight Loss, and Wellness Show. And today, a very special guest is Heather McDaniel. No, I still didn't get those words out. Heather is a coach, mentor, speaker, author, and founder of Invincible Women Fitness. Love the name of that. She's also a
Thank you.
leadership and motivational expert who takes a different approach to helping women be at their best and is driven to help women understand the underlying message and expectations of what it means to be a woman in a leadership role. And I love this topic because it's kind of sprinkled its way in through some of the conversations that I've had with other speakers. So thank you for being here and coming and talking to us on these topics in that, what would you say, flavor? Let's call it flavor.
Well, thank you so much for having me here. I really appreciate it. It's such a pleasure. Really looking forward to our conversation.
Yeah, me too, because like I said, we've kind of touched on leadership with women, sprinkled through some of the other speakers. So it's good that we're actually going to go there and move more into that kind of persona, I guess, around health, weight loss, and wellness. But you've got an interesting story of how you kind of got to this place now, if you want to share that with us. And I just
Absolutely
make my mobile disappear because it's flashing.
Yeah, those pesky devices, right? So my story is that I, like many folks, you hit a point in life. It's usually late 30s, early 40s. You reach a certain point in your career. I've spent years in sales and marketing. I had my own marketing consultancy. And from the outside, I had everything figured out. People would look at me and be like, oh, wow, you've got it all figured out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I felt very off. I was constantly stressed out. Wasn't terribly happy, but again, from the outside, everything looked great. And one of the things that I had to do, and I was overweight, stressed out, just not feeling balanced, just off. And I had to take my own weight loss journey. And that's where I started. It was, okay, I'm about to hit 40 and girl, I got to do something. And that's where I started. And so after years of being an athlete, I played rugby in college. I did all of these things, triathlons, would ride my bike 100 miles. Yeah. I would still not take care of myself. After training, I'd go and have some beers, right? And so and so I had to flip that switch and really change the lifestyle. But I had to learn how to lead myself. And by making that change, it put me, I lost the weight, got in the best shape of my life, all of that great stuff. But ultimately, I had to learn how to lead myself so I could lead others. And that's really what led me into the work that I do today as a coach and as a speaker.
Yeah. I can so relate to what you're saying because I was the same. I was always kind of into sports, stopped in between, I guess, when I had the children, and I put myself last a lot, then got back into it and was doing even extreme sailing. And then, look, there was that part of me that wasn't looking after me. Look, I'd go out binge drinking and partying to all hours. And then, I was smoking. Like, I would start smoking again, then I'd quit again. But then I was this super healthy eating person and was always doing some kind of movement. I would never sit still, never. I was full of beans. So it was like there was this, I don't know I don't want to call that sabotaging. I just feel like it was another part of me maybe that was looking for the naughtiness or the, I don't know. I think it was searching for something that's a part of me, and it was finding it in those things that were unhealthy. So maybe you've got some answers around that.
From my personal experience, there was a void or something I was trying to cover up.
Yeah.
For me, I definitely struggled with depression and anxiety and had no idea
Yeah.
And so for me, like those things filled that void or covered up what I wasn't ready to deal with
Yeah.
or didn't know that I had to deal with. And so once you deal with those things, those inner demons, if you will,
Yeah.
once you deal with them, you know what your triggers are and you know how to respond to them differently.
Yeah.
And so that makes everything so much easier, you know, especially when you're coming up against, you know, cravings and not wanting to exercise and those sorts of, you know, the usual self-sabotage behaviors that we associate with weight loss.
Yeah. Yeah. I look, that makes sense, that there was a void or there's something. And I definitely recognize now that it was an anxiety that wasn't presenting in a typical way that I would have recognized it in others. And so I guess that ended up being a stress that, that was a response for me, stress,
Yeah.
so then I would undereat. I wouldn't be hungry when I was stressed.
Oh,
And I
interesting.
now I'm so aware, hyper aware, I can feel it. I can really feel it in my body, where I reckon I ran on nervous energy for years. That was I didn't drink coffee. So that was my caffeine.
Right.
That nervous energy in your body, that stressful energy ran me, because it was always pumping the cortisol into my body. And then it got to the point where it was like, no more, we're not playing anymore, bye-bye.
Right.
Yeah, so I get that and I relate to that. So say somebody is, hopefully people are, connecting through our stories and helping them maybe put two and two together for themselves. But say you want to really make a change in that area. You want to be super healthy, and maybe you're in a leadership role and you've got that pressure and that stress. And I think women kind of try to be in the, or well, we're forced to play like the men do in leadership, where I really feel if we lean into our own way, we will do a better job anyway, which we're going to. But what would you say would be your number one go-to for somebody? They're in a leadership role, and they're in the same situation as you. Maybe they're overweight, they're stressed, and that is kind of messy for their lives. What would be your strategy, so to speak?
The most important thing to remember is that it took years to build up these habits and patterns to get to where you are now, whether it's serving you or not. So it's going to take practice to undo those skills. We have an expectation when we approach weight loss and health and fitness that we have to make 20 million different changes and we have to do them all at once and we have to be perfect. And if we don't, well, then I'm not going to do it. And that doesn't serve us. Mm-mm. So what my strategy is when I work with folks, and I do this in my own work, for me personally, is to pick a habit and practice that behavior or habit or whatever you want to call it. Practice it. It's like being an athlete. You don't show up and all of a sudden you can, if you're a soccer player, it's all of a sudden you can, play like Lionel Messi.
Yeah.
That's training. That's hours and hours and hours of training.
Yeah.
You have to take that same approach. And what I love about that approach is that it takes the pressure of having to be perfect out of the equation. You can feel free to screw up. You could try different things, experiment, see what works for you. Because I can tell you what worked for me and I can tell you what worked for other people. You're different. You are your own person. You can decide for yourself. You know what works for you. So pick that one skill, practice the heck out of it, master it, and then add on another skill.
Yeah.
And then practice that and then add on another skill.
100%. Like, consistency is more important than perfection, because then it does train the brain to behave and respond differently. And also in that, I want to add is the reframing sometimes, or when you notice that you're going to an old behavior and reframing it with the new behavior, but the same with the thoughts and feelings, reframing it. And it's practice, you know, I don't want to say practice make perfect, but practice really gets us to mastering.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Like you know, and just like yourself, what you said there, it's like, I don't want to say perfect. It's not what we're shooting for.
Yeah.
We're shooting for a better decision than you made before.
Yes.
And that's really, initially, especially, you know, that's how you want to judge success. It's just, are you making a better decision than you were yesterday? You know, let's say when you first started, your go-to was, you know, organic macaroni and cheese.
Yeah.
Right? Well, not exactly the best choice, even though it's organic. But you know, okay, what's the better choice? Well, maybe I'll have a full plate of fish and vegetables and all of this other good stuff, as opposed to the other things that don't serve me anymore. And it's that consistency that builds up over time.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we might have spoken about it when we first connected, was we often will be really hard on ourselves when we make the mistake or we fall off the wagon. So it's like, the last 21 days, I've eaten really well, but today I failed and I had McDonald's, so I'm throwing it all out the window.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, well, you know, the heck with it, I'm done.
Days in a row. Woo, back on it tomorrow.
Yeah, and then, you know, back on it again, and, you know, and it's frustrating because with that mindset, it's almost like we're setting ourselves up to fail.
Yeah. There's no way we can stick to something flat out every single day. And really, if we do become so rigid in the way we're eating, we can really, you know, move towards disordered eating when we do that. Right?
Yeah, it's you get obsessive about following the meal plan and following the structure that's given to you. And you start things like, I have to weigh my food. I have to make sure that it's, you know, 3 ounces exactly. And, you know, it's
when really you shouldn't.
And count macros and all that fun stuff. And it's like, no, food is something special.
Yeah.
You know, food is nourishment. It's a form of love.
Yeah. Enjoy it. And like, even if you are doing a calorie controlled diet for a reason, you don't necessarily have to measure it every single time. The first couple of times, maybe. So then you've got an idea of, all right, you know, how many grams is that? And, you know, someone might be training for something in particular, you know, I'm talking about. So, you know, you can pretty much eyeball it, unless you're doing body sculpting competition and they're like to the gram. But you could eyeball it after that and go, that's pretty close. And then maybe once every 4 or 5 months go, I just want to check in on it. If, you know, that is something that you really want to, you know, do, like, that's up to you. But that whole every single day, every single meal, oh my God, it just becomes this all-consuming part of our life, instead of if we're in that feels to me like, well, to me it feels like, but the other end of it's like, oh, you know, like what vegetables in season today, and oh, that's going to be so fresh, it's going to be full of flavor, I'm going to have that on my plate. It's just a massive difference in how you feel about food when you're talking about you know, being so restrictive, you know, and that's what we really want to avoid. But what you're saying is create those habits, so then you don't even have to think about those things. And it might look like, you know, creating those habits might look like, you know, say if we did the mac and cheese before, all right, well, what's a healthier version? It might be, instead of the pasta, we use cauliflower, and you have cauliflower mac and cheese. And then you might swap the cheese out for a vegan cheese sauce, which is made from, trying to think of it now, it's flakes and it tastes cheesy. And
nutritional yeast.
Thank you. You can make it with, like, it doesn't taste like cheese sauce, but it's a it's better for you. It's nutritional yeast, and you can do it with pumpkin. There's so many recipes on the internet. So I really like that idea of that's where to start, and start with the one habit, right?
Yeah.
So for the people to relate, I always find that people do relate while hearing somebody else's stories. Have you got a client that I'm putting you on the spot here, that you can think of that has done that, has taken that one habit at a time strategy, and what was going on with them before, what they did in their strategy, and what was the result for them, just so we can put ourselves in that little scenario?
Yeah. I have a client that I work with, and there were a lot of things going on in terms of just knowing that you're not making the right choices, and knowing this has been a long-standing pattern, and wanting to make that shift, but also understanding that it takes a little bit of time. And so what we did was we picked out the behaviors, and we basically, as opposed to me coming at them and saying, okay, this is exactly what you're going to do, we make that decision together.
Yeah.
What we're going to do. And the most important thing is, what does success look like?
Yeah.
And so how do you know that you're doing it, and how do you know it's time to move on to the next one?
Yeah.
And so what we did was we started off with a handful, we started off with, okay, this is the path that you're going to take. And we started off with the first behavior, and the first behavior, practice it consistently for a few weeks. And then what happens is that the confidence grew.
Yeah.
And the empowerment was there. Okay, let's put the next one on. Feeling a bit more confident and more empowered.
Mm.
And then you start adding on the next one. Okay, it's time. And so over time, the confidence around having that ability to lead yourself, to make those decisions, and to, put in those systems in place to do it consistently, around a busy schedule. And the big change really started to happen was when, life is going to happen. And you're going to have those days and weeks where everything hits the fan, you're working 12 hours a day. And she was able to make better decisions during those times of chaos.
Yeah.
And from that, again, more confidence, more empowerment.
Yeah.
And, then the weight loss starts to happen. Then you start to notice it.
Yeah.
Over time. And I think she has the tools that she needs to fall back on.
Yeah.
And to be consistent, and to, again, lead herself.
Yeah. That's great. I mean, it really creates that foundation, that base that they can always fall back on. I feel like, that method to me is one, it's simple. I always love simple. It can be fun, exploring, like, what's the one that I can fix on, and simplifying that for your mind when life is always going to get in the way. Yeah. So knowing that, having, obviously, I like to do plan A, B, and C, right? So life is always going to get in the way. When you're focusing on just making a change in that one habit, and then making sure that that's implemented and, mastered before you move on to the next, when life gets in the way, it's the one habit, it's the one thing that you have to focus on. It really makes it easier for you to continue to do that while, all crap's falling away, but also the habits that's come before it are already automatic, so you don't have to think about those. So even when life goes to shit, you've still got that foundation, that base of all the habits you've changed beforehand, and you don't end up feeling worse because you've gone through the Macca's drive-through because, there's been a massive upheaval in your day, your week, your month even, but you've still got all those other foundations that you automatically fall back on the very next day. So I love that example Thank you for that, because
Oh,
I think that really shows, it shows how these simple strategies, because I think we complicate it too much,
yeah, yeah,
really
we do. And
change somebody.
yeah, and we go back to trying to change everything at once, which isn't sustainable.
Yeah.
It's almost like we try to sprint when really we're running a marathon.
Yeah.
And you're going to get so far. If you sprint trying to run a marathon, you might make it to 6 miles if you're really in shape. Yeah. I'm not that person.
Me either. I'll be lucky to miles.
But the thing is that when life does get chaotic and we're trying to change everything at once, that's where we fall off the wagon and say, well, do you know what? I'm going to wait until after this time passes.
Yeah.
And we do that over and over and over again.
I'll start,
and that's where,
I'll wait.
Yeah, it's like, all right, I'm just going to wait until things calm down. I'm going to wait until after the holidays. I'm going to wait until after, we have this summer holiday coming up. I'm going to wait until after vacation. But with this type of practice, the goal is to get you through those times so you can manage yourself when you're on vacation. You can manage yourself and still enjoy.
Yeah.
And it's a long approach. It's a long-term approach. But in the end, you don't have to go back and forth.
Yeah, exactly. It's great. I mean, I just love the simplicity of it. And I feel like anybody can do that.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Anybody can do that, and really breaking it down and really giving you the basics. So say somebody listening at home, they've been struggling for a long time now, right? And so I guess, a lot of people have tried a lot of different things and it's not seemed to work, but they just really want to feel better. They want to lose weight, but it always seems kind of out of their reach. What would you suggest? Where to go? What to do there?
Yeah. Actually, this is a great opportunity for your audience to get out the journals. And grab a pen.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to give you something to write down.
All right, get the journals out, everyone. Get your pen.
So, are you guys ready?
Ready.
Ready?
I'm going to be writing them down too. Go.
Here's the thing. You can do this. You absolutely can do this. I have zero doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
That you can do this.
Yeah.
And you may have not had the success that you wanted in the past. Here's the thing. You are not a failure.
Yeah.
Even though you might judge yourself that way. It's not your fault.
Yeah.
It really comes down to what you've been told and what you've been sold.
Yeah, I like that.
And this is an opportunity for you to start fresh. Put in your promise jar, pick one thing that you want to do, that you want to improve. Write it down, put it in your promise jar.
All right. So have a think about that.
What's
that one thing that you think of, a habit right now, or even, after this, rewind, come back, think of a habit right now that you want to change. Start with something simple. Yeah. Something.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Something simple that that you can do consistently. It might be to eat without a mobile phone in front of you or in front of a screen.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a great place to start.
I'm doing that one.
Eat without distractions.
I can never not be doing something. I'm like, right, I'm going to eat. This is my break time to play solitaire on my phone.
Or let me watch a TED Talk or watch a YouTube video.
And we don't realize that even playing cards on your phone and you can't get it out, even that's creating stress. So you're really not relaxing. I know that.
And actually what's funny is there is I've seen studies and all that fun stuff, but statistically speaking, we actually consume a lot more calories because we're not even thinking about it.
Interesting. I love that.
And just from just doing that, you make yourself a little bit more aware of what you're eating, and you have a little bit more of a connection with your food, as opposed to just completely tuning out and just shoveling, you know, here in America, we love to shovel our food.
Yeah.
You know, and then go on to the next thing.
Yeah. It could leave you feeling hungry afterwards, or dissatisfied, or something's missing, even though you've had a decent sized meal, because you've really not connected with it. And I'm saying that because I'm thinking about the last thing that I made that was really yum. And I was totally distracted the whole time I ate it. And it was tasty. But then if I think about the taste of it, can't remember because I was too busy.
Yeah. Yeah. A game that I like to play, and this might help people implement it, because it's a little bit weird at first, not having a phone or having something like you almost need to like pick up something.
Yeah.
Right. One thing that I love doing is trying to pick out the different flavors of a meal.
Oh, I like that.
And it's I do this in restaurants because I'm a bit of a food geek. And so I love trying to, you know, guess what they made this meal out of.
Oh, yes.
And yeah, and just trying to pick out what, you know, certain flavors, and just try to even just like isolating flavors in my mind. You know, like, oh, this chickpea salad that I made, it has mint and honey and lemon, and let me see if I can just pick out that pop of mint that's happening, you know. And it's just, you know, things like that. It makes it so much fun, and it's good. It just makes it that much more enjoyable.
Yeah, I love that. I think that would be so fun and really mindful, and which there's another thing that's been sprinkled out through the show, I guess, being more mindful, and a lot of people talking about that. So that is another, like we often do talk about, you know, be mindfulness, be mindful. That's an example. That's an example of mindfulness. So, and I really, like, a lot of women come to me and they say, you know, oh, but I love food. And I'm like, good. So you should. Like, why would you want to eat it if it didn't taste good, or if you didn't like it? So I think this is a way that you could really, because fresh food has a lot of flavor, which people don't realize.
Yes.
Because sugar and, you know, fats and stuff like that can mask, you know, it does stuff to your taste buds. Once you kind of clean that off, you can really taste all the flavors of fresh food. So I love that idea, especially when you're out trying to figure out what's in the dish. You know, it'd be a good excuse for the partner to cook, right? So you don't have to, I really want to play this game, go and cook. And then I guess if you see how amazing their food is, they might cook again.
I think we have a winner.
I'm a little wicked. For those single folks, maybe go to somebody's house for dinner. And then
there you go. Yeah.
Play the game with it. Say, I'm going to come over to yours and play a game. You need to cook for me. I love that. So hopefully everyone's written all that down in your journal. If not, rewind and replay, because there's a lot in this. So, you know, there's some philosophy around there and some basics to set up, and then going ahead and, you know, not just sitting there going, okay, I'm just going to change this habit, but really think about, well, how can I make that fun, I guess? And, you know, how will I do that? And I love I've written that down, eat without my mobile. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to do the whole flavor thing. And I'll
give it a try. I'm curious to know how it goes for you.
I will. I'll tell my cat, because it's just me and the cat, and he's never too far away. And I'll tell him all about it. I'm sure he'll be just like, shut up and give it to me. I want your food. I kill you, human. Thank you so much for sharing this information with us and giving us your time and being here today. I really enjoyed this topic. You know, mindset, you know, habits is my thing. It's my bag, baby. So I love hearing another person talking about it. And, you know, I've even learned something today as well, which is great. And I love your ideas. I love how simple they are to implement. And I think what people don't realize is how valuable it is to have a coach with you, or to have, a mentor or a coach, or, a therapist that helps you navigate this, because we're going to have moments of breakdown. And that's where we,
Absolutely.
we do really well for a while and then we fall off the wagon. When you have somebody that's there with you, they help you through those breakdowns, but also help you understand, what it is that you're experiencing, and, help you recognize it in yourself and create awareness. So, I mean, that's the difference between going it alone. I think if somebody's been going it alone for a long time and they're still going at it and trying to work it out, I would say they would, work with somebody like Heather and, let her help you get to the basics. So thank you so much for being here today and sharing your special talent with us.
Thank you. It's been such a pleasure. I really, really enjoyed being here.
Yeah, it's been great. So if you are watching this on YouTube or Facebook, make sure that you are registered so you can get, actually before we go, you've got something special that you want to offer the listeners.
Yeah. It's a free 5-day weight loss masterclass where I go deeper into these habits.
I'm glad I stopped myself. That's amazing.
Yeah. So and again, it's just going deeper into the habits. It's not anything that you normally see. It's a kind of a deep dive into how do you get started.
Yeah, fantastic. That's a very generous offer, and it's going to give you a really good insight into how to set this up for yourself and what it's like to have somebody on your team helping you along the way. So if you want access to that, you need to make sure that you are registered. So if you are listening on Facebook or YouTube, the link is in the description of how to register and, get access to the speaker's page with all the details of the speaker, what the topic is about, the video, and also the free gift from tonight and any of the other speakers. Plus, there is information on how you can get access to all the episodes and watch on demand, because there is just so much gold in each and every one of them. Like today, you're going to want to come back and go, oh, what was it that she said? You're gonna. So make sure that you're registered so you can go ahead and do that. And we always get busy and get distracted. So, and also look, there may be somebody out there that it really needs to hear this message. So if you are watching it on Facebook or YouTube, go ahead and share the video, because you may just help somebody that you love and care about. You don't have to say anything. What I always say is just share, because somebody needs to hear it, and you're going to be the one that helps them. So thanks for watching again tonight, this episode. Thanks again, Heather, for being here.
Thank you.
And we will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.